Okay, welcome to Sisters of Liberty, one of my funnest places to talk.
We love you.
It's because you're such a more scholarly group sometimes than some, generally speaking. So Temple Mount and Daniel's numbers, I guess and I got to be honest with you, I was still figuring out where I was going as of yesterday on this. So I was trying to decide what I was going to head into and what I wasn't. I could have gone a million directions, but I decided that what's happening in Jerusalem right now is probably some of the most significant things that are going on right now in prophecy. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I'm going to kind of hit a little bit what's going on in the Holy Land, because I think when we have talked about Daniel's numbers, and obviously not every detail went down exactly like we thought it would. However, it's so obvious now that it did happen, that things are happening and going forward. So this scene that's my opening slide, you all remember, well, let me start with, how many of you attended the Book of Mormon conference, this last one with Rod Meldrum's conference? Looks like just two. Well, good. Then there'll be just a little review for those that were there. I'm sorry. I have a temporary in my mouth, so I'm trying to learn to talk all over again for another 3 weeks. And then I get a permanent implant. But anyway, because of that, my tongue has to learn to speak all over again.
It's worse than usual.
What's that?
It's worse than usual.
I know. And I can't ever talk anyway. So I decided that this was going to be a fun place to go, because most of us, I don't know if you knew, but it seemed like people are really short attention span. It's like when it says in the Book of Mormon, and there was many signs, but people stopped paying attention because it didn't happen exactly right after the fact, or things didn't happen right on schedule the way everybody thought they would, and so people stopped paying attention. And then the sign came of his birth. So I just wanted, and it was actually in that instance 33 years later. But how many of you knew that they did a dress rehearsal of the red heifer in Shiloh as of within the last 2 or 3 weeks?
No.
I guess it's a month.
July the 1st.
I guess it's about a month, okay?
Did you?
What's that?
Did you know?
Yeah, I did. And they did a dress rehearsal. It wasn't the real deal. They took one of the disqualified red heifers, which just had a couple of hairs that they couldn't make it go forward, and they did a practice run on the mountains of Shiloh. That's actually what is in the background there.
I was going to say that's an actual photograph of
the
dress
taking
rehearsal.
place, exactly.
But also, they did one in 2019 that was just a regular cow. So this is not like earth shaking that they're practicing. They've been practicing for a long time.
Just so that we don't get the normal complaints we get, raise your hand, even though it's you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We get a lot of complaints, we talk over each other.
Yes, sir.
We're guilty as charged. I
take it you two know each other?
So when you, how many of you are quite familiar with Daniel's numbers as I have presented them?
We hear them, but we forget, so.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, okay, so
It's like
you,
reading the Book of Mormon once and you're supposed to remember it.
right,
Yeah.
I get that. So this last Hanukkah, we were in Israel expecting the start of a sacrifice of the red heifer. But because it didn't happen exactly the way we thought, obviously, sometimes we make conjectures that are incorrect. But we were looking for what did happen. And that's what I'm going to go into, what did happen. And let me be really clear that we have always said that the numbers are solid. I couldn't make the numbers up. I couldn't make it work any other way. But the details inside the numbers, we can make mistakes. Absolutely can make mistakes. Okay, so that being said, this structure of these numbers, where the 2300 days starts, where the 1209 days starts, all of that I couldn't duplicate. It's all mathematical, if that makes sense. Along with what I call AA, which is the time from Adam. I've done a lot of calculations, and the math seems to be rock solid, as best as I can run the math, that we really are close to the end of the 6,000 years right now. And you can't hardly stretch it, at best, 3 or 4 years spread from when the 7,000 years actually starts. So, and it all falls together, so that's what I'm trying to bring out. But what I wanted to convey is when we were in Israel expecting something to happen, it did. It wasn't exactly what we thought. Okay, so let's go forward. Let's look at the prophecy we were talking about. Then I heard one saint speaking to another saint, the certain saint which spake, how long shall be, put in red, the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. So we kind of assumed it was all about the daily sacrifice, which is the first thing mentioned, but it's actually about the vision. The whole vision of this time frame of things that are going to happen. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then the sanctuary will be cleansed. And then it goes later in the chapter, it's on to say, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully and prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. Now what does that mean? Well, I'm going to give you a little conjecture. I'm not going to tell you I know every detail about it ever. I'm just going to tell you what it logically presents by scriptural models and stuff. Destroy a mighty holy people. We often want to be very replacement theology, especially in, forgive the word because I can't think of a better one, in the Mormon community, okay? I mean, I could use the long definition, but for sake of definition, in the Mormon community, we have a tendency to think it's all about us, right? I have seen this over and over and over. You see tons of podcasters and people talking about it's all about us. Well, you don't really understand your scriptures if you think it's all about us. We are Ephraim, but Judah is where almost all of Daniel's messages are about the old Jerusalem and the old world. So when you're trying to interpret prophecy, you need to be really careful to not interpret it single focus, because most of prophetic picture is about Jerusalem, not about us. If you want to know what's going on with us, read the Book of Mormon. Really, in honesty, you've got to keep the Book of Mormon as your main model of what's going on with us. But if you want to read Daniel and those prophetic pictures, you should probably focus on Israel, the land of Israel, etc. Anyway, so out of one of them comes the little horn, which waxed exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. The pleasant land is always Jerusalem, old Jerusalem. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of the transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. So, translation, Farrell's translation. Okay. We're really talking about when the daily sacrifice ends, more than we're talking about when it begins. The vision started 2,300 days, but the whole context of everything going on is when this ends. And it ends on the abomination of desolation. That's what really focuses in on what's going on. And so this little horn that comes forth you know, I suspect, and I've been very out there in some of my other presentations, that I suspect that to take place towards 27. Just, this is total Farrell conjecture. I want you to know, details might not be 100%. Okay, but theoretically, we all thought, any of us that were following Ezra's eagle, it seemed very logical to interpret Ezra's eagle that Trump wasn't going to last long. You know, and we all kind of went on this line of thinking based on the text alone. It was seemed pretty clear. Now, in my first presentation at the Book of Mormon conference, I went through the translation of Ezra and used AI to evaluate other ways the words in Ezra's eagle could be translated, okay, and get other potential meanings, okay. I went into that, and I'm not going to spend a great deal of time there, but I am going to tell you that it could be just a very dominant leader that could be the middle head of the eagle. So, based on that, I'm going to I made a case in that presentation that actually Donald Trump's second term is him feeling the role of probably the middle head of the eagle, and that doesn't necessarily make him bad. We've always interpreted that middle head of the eagle to be bad, okay? But what we do have to understand is there's a difference between being not bad and being good, okay? For instance, what does the Doctrine and Covenants in section 76 say the terrestrial kingdom is? What's the qualifications to make it to a terrestrial glory? Middle kingdom.
Good person.
Honorable men of the world, and what's the next line? Who are deceived by the craftiness of men. Okay? So, someone can be good and yet be deceived by the craftiness of men. Okay? I would argue that if he was prophet type material, Donald Trump we're talking, that he would be calling America to repentance. Okay, not just saying we're going to make it great, we're going to fix everything, you know. How does it, Glenn Beck does a pretty good impersonation. I can't do that. I'm not an impersonator, but okay, we're going to make it, you know, we're going to fix it all, right? And I'm going to get into that a little later. I'm trying to say to you that it's been a great blessing to have Trump in office. There's no question. We've seen tons of good, but never forget that the correct definition of wicked is the weaving of truth and error in a deceptive manner that sometimes even the person don't even understand. In fact, I'd argue almost all the time. Most of the time, people do what they believe to be true, integrity wise, and I would say that's true of Trump. Trump really believes what he's doing. And mostly, I agree. Okay, I do. However, there's some big, I'm going to call it caution flags, coming on the horizon. Okay, so let's move forward.
Just go back, we had a question before class that we had someone ask a question, and it was, does the king of Assyria have allies? Is it more than just one person or one country? And I was just going to say this verse right here actually answers that question. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice. There's allies that all agree with him that they should take out the daily sacrifice in Jerusalem.
I think directly the king of Assyria is Assyria. I'll do it. I'll get it out. I would say the king of Assyria host is going to be Islam. Okay, I absolutely.
A lot of allies.
That his allies are going to be Islam, however that looks. Now, prophetic type, he comes out of Turkey. Based on what's going on, Basically, I'm telling you that because Antiochus Epiphanes was where the first model of the Antichrist comes from. Okay, so if you look at it in that light, the Antichrist will probably come out of Turkey. More than likely. I'm not saying that's an absolute. Everybody's always been looking to Russia. But if you've learned anything in watching Russia in the Ukraine war, it wasn't as bad as we thought. What I mean by that is they're playing the game with outdated technology. Russia has not economically been able to keep up its military industrial complex like we have, okay? And if you've been hearing all the saber rattling is the word, saber rattling that's been going on, you realize that the old president of Russia made a threat that, hey, America should pay attention.
Yeah.
And of course, Putin didn't say it. You notice it was kind of a second in command making that statement, because then if Putin wants to backpedal it, he can, okay? Because he had his right-hand man say it, but he was trying to play muscle a little, and Trump called his bluff. If you've been paying attention, he put 2 of our full nuclear-capable submarines close to the shores of Russia somewhere and said, in case you're thinking about it, we just want you to know we've got a couple of our best nuclear subs parked off your shore, okay, ready to hit you if we need to.
And more importantly, he announced
He was doing it, yep.
had done that. I mean, I'm sure they've done that a number of times, but they usually don't announce it.
Yeah, this was definitely a muscle flexing, oh yeah?
We'll show you.
We'll show you.
Well,
And
it's
this
hot
is,
breath instead of hot ammunition.
anyway, so I'm not saying, you know, the problem with that is you never know when that can get out of hand.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, at the same time, if Russia's smart, they're not going to play this game with Trump. I'm just telling you. And based on Ezra's eagle and Ezra making the statement that the fourth beast of Daniel, 7, is the eagle, it says it rules with much dominance. We are the fourth beast. I made that presentation pretty strong last time I was here. So we have the most muscle. It also says who is able to take on the beast. Well, think about it, really. Who's able to take us on? And even China, in reality. I don't think there is a military power on the earth that's going to take us on head to head. It's going to be a betrayal when it happens. When we suffer our humbling, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be by betrayal. Okay, it's going to be by hook or crook, not by a direct on head-to-head confrontation. Okay.
So I have Isaiah 56 ready to read before you leave the 2,300 days. If you don't have a slide on it.
Go ahead, I'm not sure where you're going
Okay,
just
so
yet.
he started to say that we were there in Israel and that we were looking for the start. We thought it would be the daily sacrifice, but he read you the scripture that the vision of the daily sacrifice, the abomination of desolation. So this is a big,
whole thing.
It's a big vision, okay?
It's a big vision.
And what we had no way to know what would actually kick that vision off, but we were so now we're amazed.
Don't jump ahead of me too
That's
far.
why I asked you, Isaiah
Okay.
56, okay, so that's where I'm going. We were amazed to see that it was actually the start of prayer on Temple Mount, which I think he's going to.
Yeah, you're
But
gonna-
I want
I'm
to
gonna
read
get
you
into
the
this now.
verse.
Go ahead,
This
go
is
for
the
it.
verse. And when we were there in Israel, that night, when they said that Ben-Gvir had gone on the mount to pray and they couldn't arrest him
I'm gonna hit
because
it real
he's
hit.
yeah, because he's in charge. They put this verse on the television screen, okay? And this is the verse. It's Isaiah 56, verse 7 and 8. It's actually a chiasm. It says, house of prayer, and then something in the middle of the chiasm. Okay, so listen and see if you can hear what the center of the house of prayer is. It says, even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted on mine altar. That's your daily offering, that's part of the vision that Daniel was talking about. And then it says, and mine house of prayer, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. We had to wait till it was in the rearview mirror to figure out that the beginning of the vision was prayer being allowed back on
Well, and that's where I'm
Temple
going
Mount.
big time.
And in the center
So
of that
don't
chiasm.
jump that too
Steal
far.
your thunder, right?
Yeah,
Right.
don't jump
And in
ahead
the
of me too
center
far.
of that chiasm is that the offerings would be accepted on the
Yeah,
altar.
that's right.
So
Okay.
it's just a beautiful verse.
Isaiah, that's Isaiah.
Isaiah 56, verse 7 and 8.
Actually, I'm gonna have that way later in the presentation. I forgot
Okay.
that I did, now that I think
That's
about
why
it.
I asked, did you have it?
And it came to pass that even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought the meeting, and behold, there stood before me a appearance of a man, and I heard one man's voice on the banks of the Uri, and he called and said, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. We're never talking about the daily sacrifice. That was a connection that we made that was it was part of the whole, it wasn't the whole. So he came near and stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell on my face, and he said to me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be at the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. Now you all know that our whole name, Prophetic Appointments, is about the appointed times. And it's very clear when you read the Hebrew behind that, that's the Moed. It is a feast day, just like Christ fulfilled his mission the first time on a feast day, Passover. He will fulfill all these things on his schedule. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into a lot of video of interviews and things, so there's going to be a lot of backup to what I'm saying, that I'm going to give you videos to give this to you, because I can say it, but I'd like to show it, if that makes sense. So this, I think this first one is starting with an interview that we did on Temple Mount when we were there in December with the head of security for the Temple Mount Authority, which is Palestine. Jordan is actually who is in control, or has been. I'm going to use has been. Okay, and he is the head of that security on Temple Mount.
And I don't know if you noticed that we have lots of water wells. Wherever you live, you're gonna find wells everywhere. At least 46, 47.
Wells.
I believe me, not more than
Wells.
6.
Water wells.
Wells, because excavating, digging underneath, they destroy everything. They are trying to find something, to prove something, that they belong. Look.
I wanted to maybe go in front of that and tell you the reason I put that portion on. How many of you heard that the temple is down in the city of David? Okay, because of water,
The
right?
Gihon Spring.
The Gihon Springs and all that stuff. Well, let me give you a clue. Do you hear what he just said? 46 wells on top of Temple Mount. We've been in the cisterns right there. This whole argument that it's down in the city of David is absolutely
Wrong?
wrong. To say it mildly, if you were to actually put the Temple Mount structure in the city of David, it would require walls that are 3 times thus high to level out the platform, plus the fact there's all kinds of houses concurrent with it, and the Palace of David, and all of those things that absolutely archaeologically does not work, period. Okay, just so you know. Been there, been to the Temple of Melchizedek, which is in the city of David. We have been in there, we've seen the symbols in there, absolutely incredible, where Abraham went first off to Melchizedek to pay his tithes and offerings, and from there went up to Mount Moriah to offer Isaac, which is, what, half a mile to a mile, probably, from the city of Salem, the city of Salem, which became named Jerusalem, okay, up to the top of Temple Mount where he offered Isaac, which is the place where they built Solomon's temple. And the reason I showed this is to show you their argument that it had to be by the Gihon Springs. If you've been there, I could talk you through it just so quickly. It's absolutely a theory that came with no archaeological backing and with no understanding of things.
And I don't know if you noticed that we have lots of water wells. Wherever you look, you're gonna find wells everywhere.
This is on Temple Mount.
46, 47.
North,
But
east
believe it or
corner.
not more than 6 or 7 working wells because, excavating, digging underneath, they destroyed everything. They are trying to find something, to prove something, that they belong. Look, nobody denies that something used to be
He's not
here before.
big on-
And when I said here, I
He's
didn't
gonna
mean
blame
this
everything
compound
on the
here in
Jews.
the
Yeah, he's gonna blame everything.
because Jew used to be here before
Is he
you
an
and me.
Arab?
Here.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
And
Head of the
Palestinian.
Arab Security.
But even if you find anything in the future, do you think that we're gonna destroy our building for you to build your third temple? Impossible. I've been here for more than 1,500 years. So I don't care what used to be here. The problem that the Americans give us excuses, silly excuses. Let them dig. Maybe they're gonna find something. Find something? Okay, why? They said that there is something used to be here 2,000 years ago. Maybe 300 years ago. Your country used to be for the Indians. Paper in my offices. I have papers. It's all of them, the whole United States of America.
The Indians, he said.
Why this double standard democracy? It's disgusting. What we are facing here is super dangerous. We are facing everybody alone. This is the problem. Alone. And to be honest, we believe that we are right. But again, we are not just protecting our properties, we are protecting the whole Holy Land. Your property, our properties, our holy places, your holy places. What we are facing here is super dangerous. And again, we are alone. I'm sorry. I know that you came here for fun, but you need to understand what is happening here. It is super important for anybody who came to this compound, to this country, to understand the city. I know it's not easy to understand, but you need to at
Right
least
off to the right there.
to understand
is the
that
real holy
we
poles.
are
I'll talk about
on the
that in a
edge
bit.
of a boom. Religious war, it's not between the Palestinians and the Israelis, no. A small example, maybe here in this country we are 4 or 5 million Muslims. How many we are outside? 2.5 billion.
2.5 billion, you hear that, Mazel?
Do you think is it difficult to reach any synagogue in Europe? To bomb any city? It's not. It's not difficult at all. Do you know what happens maybe 2 months? No, it's like less than 2 months. In Amsterdam for the Israelis thing? What I'm trying to say that we are trying not to start a religious war. No. This is what we are trying to ask the powerful government to stop. Because again, we are on a huge, it's a very dangerous thing. Look, you know this, I don't know if you know him, but we have a minister that he is super radical to serving
This
his
is
own
Ben
army.
Gvir.
And now he is the Minister of Security. You believe that? And now he's controlling everything. Everything. So now we are jumping to see this building from inside. We need to take off our shoes and we're going to put the shoes inside the building. We have a shoe.
Okay, we're about to go in the Dome of the Rock. Okay, the reason I shared that with you so you could kind of get an idea of their mindset. And at the time we're there, this is before Hanukkah, and he's saying they have this Minister of Defense, Ben Gvir, which we're going to show you here in a minute, is super radical, okay? from their point of view, okay? He's super radical. He has the nerve to say that this used to be the Temple Mount and that they want to build the temple. Well, now,
And he has the nerve to say, if you hit us, we'll hit you back.
more or less, but the thing that's really fascinating about it is that at this time of this recording, we don't know what's going to happen on Hanukkah. We just hear about this radical security minister, Ben Gvir, okay? Now, I have to confess, I really debated whether to go into this part I'm about to. But I have made the election too, and I may ask Nancy to cut it from the recording she puts up. I don't know. Have to think about it. I'll get your opinion on it. How's that? Okay, and how many of you have ever been on a tour with Wayne May? Anybody? One? Well, we're not doing good here. A couple.
I've heard them ask and so forth. When Christ atoned for our sins, what he had as immortal, he did that immortal don't have. It was blood. He took all of our sins into his blood, recorded it. That was a recorded thing. His blood recorded him doing it. And then he squeezed it out of his body, soaked it into the ground. Yes, the earth is recording everything. It's recording our sins. It's recording everything we're doing. It's a constant. That's the immortality thing. Our blood is recording everything we're doing. That's why we have to be resurrected. To show our lives.
Absolutely.
later on.
I appreciate it. I don't want to sidetrack on this because you could all get carried away on this and we could talk about it all day. I mean, it was really crazy when we were there with everybody. Everybody started asking me all kinds of questions. Where was Christ with Pilate? Where was, Christ? Where was Barabbas? Where was he whipped? I got asked so many questions. It almost overloaded me, and I'm not. The whole idea is not about the rods. I'm not trying to make a point about the rods at all. That's up to you to take or do whatever you want with. Personally, it startled me the first time I used them. Absolutely startled me. I was like, she could testify. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Anyway, what I'm trying to share with you is we're now headed north from where we were talking to the Palestinian head. What was his name?
Aluni.
Aluni?
Close
enough. Okay.
A-O-U-N-I.
Anyway, we're on the mount now. The Dome of the Spirits is to the right, the Dome of the Rock to the left. Pointing right to the Dome
Where
of the Rock.
is the Holy of Holies from Solomon's temple? Holy cow. That was a speculation I've had for a while, but I didn't confirm it anyway. And the reason I have that speculation is because Herod ordered the temple rebuilt in 17 BC. Okay, and in 17 BC, he did all this reconstruction. In fact, in Luke, it says, when Christ says, if you destroy this temple, I will rebuild it in 3 days. And they thought he was referring to Ezra's temple. But they'd actually been 46 years building this mount and the new temple when Christ said that. And that's why they say 46 years. And then 3 years later, at 49 years is when he atoned for the sins of the world. I can't believe that just answered that question that way. I was really surprised. This is the spot where I believe the altar was that Abraham offered Isaac. In fact, I'll ask that question because I think I have before. Where is the spot where Abraham made his altar to offer Isaac? Where was the lamb in the thicket?
See, it just went, you see where it
That's
just
pointing
pointed?
right to the
Way
garden
off to
tomb.
the left. You know where that is? The garden tomb.
Okay? So
The lamb was where he
Herod's
actually was
Holy of Holies?
crucified.
I am blown away. That is just fascinating to me. That we can't go in.
Well, we could have paid $100 for it.
That's a bribe practically, but we can't go in. Only Muslims go in unless
Now
you,
ask where the Holy of Holies is.
She wants me to do it again.
Where is the Holy of
This was
Holies
before-
of Solomon's temple?
Before we met with him, yes.
I cannot believe it. I've had a hunch about it and never asked the question. I can't believe I never asked the question before.
Vayana was asking you to follow it to, as far as you can go, just ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw a lot of attention if I walk near that thing with these out. Excuse me, is Herod's temple, Holy of Holies, over the Dome of the Rock?
See it right there, it just closed again. That's where the altar of sacrifice is, that far away from the Holy of Holies. So I actually walked it. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing, but that was me personally asking questions of where everything was while I was there. Okay, that's Solomon's temple. That is the correct location. What I'm trying to share with you right now is Herod was a great builder, and in 17 BC,
So you two are basically standing where Abraham stood when he was prepared to offer Isaac as a sacrifice.
okay, so here you are, Herod, you're a master builder. I've been a builder my whole life. So he makes a decision in 17 BC to rebuild Temple Mount, okay? Grand expansion, but what's the problem if you've got ongoing sacrifice to do a remodel? We're in the process of remodeling the Salt Lake Temple. Can we continue to use it? So Herod had a problem. How do I rebuild Temple Mount and keep the sacrifices going? So Herod knew, and he convinced the religious leaders of the time, well, Mount Moriah has 2 points where it comes to the surface. Right here at the Dome of the Spirits, they also call it the what? The Dome of the Tablets. Why would they call it that? What did Moses bring off the
Oh,
mount?
the 2 tablets.
And where were
And
they?
where were they? In the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
Okay, right there. Okay, so he has 2 points where the mountain comes to the surface on his platform. One is the Dome of the Spirits, the other is the Dome of the Rock. He convinces them, I'll rebuild this magnificent temple over the Dome of the Rock. It was a hunch I had. I confirmed it this time with the rods, if you believe them. You don't have to. I'm not trying to sell anything, I promise you. Okay, I'm just telling you what I know for me. It's my own personal thing, if you want to call it that. So he builds the new temple over the Dome of the Rock, and then they disassemble Ezra's temple. I would assume they disassembled it. I don't know. Maybe they left it there too. I don't know. Who knows? Point being, as a builder, you can't keep using it and remodel it in the same place. Okay? So let me just show you what else he did. There is the straight lineup. Right over here, this is the church of the many nations over the spot where Christ suffered for the sins of the world. Now, most of the sites in Jerusalem that they build the big churches over are not accurate. I could show you fun. That's why I said, which direction to go? I could have showed you the true birthplace of Christ. I could have showed you a ton of things. Okay, like the Church of the Nativity, junk. It's not where Christ was born. Okay? The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, junk. It's not where he was crucified. But you know what Constantine's mother, Helen, accomplished?
She finally got something right there.
No, she didn't pick this one.
Oh,
Do you know what she did accomplish when she picked the Church of the Nativity and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? She protected the real sites.
Oh.
All the
Crusades?
desecration, that was the word I was looking for. All the desecration of those sites by the Catholic Church and all that, they didn't get the real sites.
Where are they?
I would love to go there, but I'm not gonna have time to even go where I'm going. So, go ahead.
Is that red arrow through the east gate?
Straight through, that's the point. Look right here. I can't remember if I've told this story to this group. I think I did, but I'll tell it again. First time I went to Israel, 1996. 99, I'm sorry. You see this grove right here? That's the old olive trees. Okay? next to the Church of all nations, okay? I'm on this second row right here. And I'm enjoying the old trees. Okay, I'm in the old trees. There are some of them are 2,000 years old, so they were probably there in Christ's day. And Rhonda's there, and we're in a bigger tour group. I wasn't leading that tour. It was my first time. I didn't have any clue. And I'm in the old olive grove. Sometimes some things are so sacred you can't hardly talk about them. I'm just sitting there taking the Spirit in, contemplating the atonement of Christ and all. I'm sticking my neck way out in this presentation with you. And a voice in my head, you can call it what you want, audibly, stop. And I'm like, whoa. Turn, look west. I stopped, looked west, right through the east gates. That's where the Holy of Holies was, 1996. Tears just started flowing out of my eyes. I couldn't hold them back. And I walked over to Rhonda. And I said, Rhonda, I don't know what just happened. But for some crazy reason, God just told me where the Holy of Holies is. You know, I had no idea. I'd never even been, this first time I've been there, I didn't have any clue, didn't have any idea. And didn't know why I got told. And then this last year in December, and I've done tons of research now on Temple Mount because that's enough to get your curiosity going, you know, right? And so I'm on there now and I'm realizing there's so many scriptures, and I could pull up a bunch, that show you that Christ was directly looking into the Holy of Holies from where the atonement took place in the ancient temple, where it should have been before Herod moved, where it really was, where Abraham offered Isaac, on the Dome of the Tablets or the Dome of the Spirit. Now you might ask, so what? Do you realize they could build the temple and not take down the Dome of the Rock? By treaty, they could decide to share Temple Mount and be in the right place.
So where would it go in that, in conjunction?
Yeah, I'm about to show you.
Okay.
So there's Temple Mount from an aerial view. And if you look right here, straight through the east gates, which Rhonda was looking at the left dome over her shoulder when I was standing there taking a picture looking back. Okay, just so you get an idea of how that looks. Why is this not clicking?
Oh, it's,
Right there, you see the temple? That would have been straight the angle from where Christ was, looking into the Holy of Holies of Ezra's temple. Now, when Herod had the Temple Mount rebuilt, much bigger, much fancier, all of that, that's obviously where Christ atoned for the sins of the world, right there in the circle. He moved it over the Dome of the Rock, not through the east gates anymore, not direct line up. There's all kinds of scripture that tell you it has to be through the east gates, by the way. I didn't take the time to put those on. But when he did this, obviously, he had to reconstruct Temple Mount to recenter it on the mount. So what I want to show you is there's where it was, there's what it looked like, but Herod completely added all that mount to the left. There's where the temple, he completely added it and recentered it up. Okay? And he expanded Temple Mount sizably. So there's what Herod did. Much bigger, much fancier, much laid out. There it is again, just so you can see it again, and he expands it. So when they say the temple was over the Dome of the Rock, Herod's temple was. But Ezra's was not. I believe they're going to, this is one of those I believes that is very conjecture. I'm not trying to tell you this is prophetic or I've had any inspiration on this matter. This is my hunch. This is my conjecture, to make it very clear, that they'll probably cut the treaty of Daniel 9:27, allowing them to build the temple over the dome of the spirits where it belongs. That's Farrell's. Because they won't.
Have you talked to Israelis and?
Not anybody of substance.
Yeah.
They've published books. We have a
We got-
$100 book at home that's all the Jewish research that the original Holy of Holies was the Dome of the Spirits. But
And
they
then-
So they
don't
know.
agree.
Well,
They-
you've got
some
both
know,
sides of
some
the
don't
coin.
agree.
You've got two camps. Just like we've got a weird camp that the temple was actually in the city of David now, which is
Yeah.
baloney. But you've got two camps amongst the Jews. You've got this guy who's researched it. But the reason they both think they're right is because there was a temple in both places.
Yeah,
Okay? That's why they both think they're right.
and they are.
They are both right. Okay.
So the question, does it matter where it is built?
For me, yes. Where did Isaac offer, or
Abraham.
where did Abraham offer Isaac? Why did they get commanded to, why did David purchase that threshing floor? By the way, threshing floor has to be flat. Have you ever seen the Dome of the Rock? It's anything but flat. How could have they built the temple over the Dome of the Rock and had it be the threshing floor that David purchased? It's not flat. They'd be, if you looked at it, they'd be trying to thresh their grain on a knoll. Okay? So that's another argument that the Dome of the Rock is not the real place, but it is Herod's place. But you know what? That doesn't surprise me. Because God has a way of protecting the true things, like he did with Queen Helena, if you want to call her Constantine's mother, who picked all the wrong sites, the wrong Mount Sinai, the wrong everything. Picked them all wrong. Thank you. That's telling me I'm missing my Hebrew class. I take a Hebrew class this time every week. Right now I'm trying really hard to become fluent in Hebrew. And I'm an old goat trying to learn a new thing. It's not easy for an old guy. Anyway, so just so you get this idea, and I'm sharing this with you, and the reason I shared the rods with you, whether you believe it or not, is they totally backed up everything I've just showed you. This is Itmar Ben Gvir. Ben Gvir, I can't spoke. This is the guy who that Palestinian says is the kook, just so you know. Radical.
He's the radical?
Yeah, he's the minister of security that's the radical.
Dangerous.
What's that?
Dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah.
Right, so
Very
you have-
dangerous.
You have the Minister of Security for Israel, Ben Gvir, and then Aoni, who we were talking with, he's the Minister of Security for Palestinians on Temple Mount.
So, but he is the overall security for Israel. Okay, just so you know, this guy. Interesting story. When they made one of the hostage deals, and I might show it later, but sometimes I forget exactly the flow. He said, if you do this hostage deal, I will resign. They did the deal, he did resign. It caused so much trouble in Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet that they begged him to come back. He did come back.
Explain what the deal was that he was protesting.
They didn't like the split of hostages.
It was like 300,
It's like
they were
one
gonna
to
release 300 for
100,
one,
you know,
or one?
release. It is insane. Why in the world did they agree to a 1 to 100 ratio? It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. This is the statement he put out that we found, I found it, on Hanukkah 2024. This
Which
is
is
Ben
the
Gvir.
2,300
Day start.
Start of Daniel's.
We were looking for what it was, and I found this, and I thought, boy, this is interesting. I went up to the holy place this morning to pray for the safety of our soldiers, for the speedy return of all those kidnapped, and for the complete victory with God's help. This is Ben Gvir's prayer. Now, I want you to know, when he did this, they were still arresting Jews for praying on Temple Mount. This is just December. Not even a year ago. This is Hanukkah. Christmas. This is last Christmas. He did this. But guess what? He's the head of security. You think they can arrest him? He actually, I think I might have it. This is outside the gate when we were there. This is not the gate the Jews can go through. This is the Arab gate. It took me calling my Islamic bus driver friend and asking him to translate that. What are they saying? And he told me.
Let me give you the back, though. You remember that 2,300 days started on Hanukkah. So this is Hanukkah. And so there's dancing. It's a festival, right? And we are walking off of Temple Mount. And all of these boys, you notice they all have their shoes off because they're at
They
the
got their
temple,
kippahs.
right? And they're singing and everything, and I'm thinking, oh, well, they're singing about the Maccabees and everything, and what are they singing? I actually tried to get it on
She
my
filmed this.
phone, and my phone wouldn't, I couldn't get it going, so all we got was this tiny little clip. But we got enough that Farrell said, okay, what are they singing?
So we've developed a really good friendship with our Islamic bus driver. Grateful to have developed such a great friendship with him because he looks out for us. And there's nothing like having
He's a great inside.
an insider to get you around in Israel and keep you out of trouble. That's a friend, and he's going to keep you safe. We were able to do things that most tours weren't doing because of the war and because of everything. We were able to go places and do things and that hardly any tour groups are doing right now. And he would say, no, don't go here, go here. Rhonda wanted to go one place. He said, no, let's not go there.
I begged him, please let me
She
go.
begged him and he wouldn't.
He said,
No,
won't
no,
take
we're not
it."
going there. But the point is he translated this for me because I actually sent it first day to Avram Gileadi and said, can you translate it? And he says, no, I'm not
It's
familiar enough with the
It's
dialect.
too colloquial Hebrew.
Yeah, but
And these are Jewish men.
these are Jewish men
Are you
right
looking-
outside
Are you looking for Adele?
Adele. That was what I was looking for. Sorry, it's crazy sometimes my mind. I'm getting old or something. It's scary. Anyway, and they sent it to him, and he sent me back from "This is victory. This is the victory." That's what they're singing outside the gate on Temple Mount.
On the day that Daniel's vision is starting.
This is May 18th, 2025. We're now,
March 18th.
March, 3 months in the future from Hanukkah, roughly. Israeli government approves reappointment of Ben Gvir as Minister of National Security. So that's when they bring him back in, March 18th. After he stepped down because of the hostage deal he wouldn't sign off on. So this is your radical security minister that the Palestinian guy is talking about. Now we know who we're talking about. You got a face. There he is walking on towards Temple Mount, and this is the policy change he made. The policy is to allow free worship for Jews everywhere, including Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is sovereign territory in the capital of the state of Israel. There is no law permitting discrimination against Jews on Temple Mount or anywhere else in Israel. And that is the path Minister Ben Gvir is charting for the police. And technically there never has been a law. They couldn't. It was what they called the status quo. Okay? They have the status quo. But I can show you, and I will show you, pictures of him, Ben Gvir, in his earlier years, trying to pray on Temple Mount, and them arresting him and hauling him away. Okay, same guy. Okay. Now, forward, this is Jerusalem Day. Can't remember exactly, I should have looked it up, but I didn't take time. This is
They're July 4th. but it's
This
for
is the
Jerusalem.
day they liberated Jerusalem in the Six-Day War in 1967. And they call it Jerusalem Day because that's when they liberated Jerusalem and actually took it back from Jordan. This is that day on Temple Mount to want to show you just how much has changed.
Up on the Temple Mount right now in Jerusalem.
Boy, we're going to turn that up a little.
Minister Ben-Gvir is here also, Minister of Police, Minister of National Security. We're sitting on the Temple Mount on Jerusalem Day, celebrating liberation, celebrating reunification of the peoplehood with this holy city.
Of May. So,
It's not complete yet. The Jewish capital is still challenged. The Jewish people face anti-Semitism, but at least a step of normalization. Being able to walk and pray and sing in our holiest place, it's a step. It's a big step that has been taken. And the fact that the minister is here I am walking backwards with the minister, that means that we're living in a time of rectification. The government of Israel is finally starting to see the centrality of this place, the importance of this place, and that there's a minister today who gets it. These are huge steps forward in the Jewish people's story of Yerushalayim. Let me just show you, I'll flip cameras for a second, and you'll see. It is a great procession, and this procession is not going to stop just at looking at the Temple Mount. We're actually going to pray. We're going to pray and be totally, emotionally, spiritually connected to this place, but also politically and also militarily. Jerusalem is not just a place that you come and worship. It's also a place that is the center capital of a third commonwealth. Right? A third commonwealth has a third temple at its heart, but there's already a commonwealth that has already begun to form. The Jewish state is back. And there's so many dark energies out there that want to slow us down, and yet there's no doubt that it keeps going strong. And then nothing's going to stop it. Here's a Knesset member. He's standing right in front of the Temple Mount, taking a picture with his kids.
Senator or a House of Representatives for the Israel.
Amazing photo just to
And
see
he's there with them.
Knesset member.
And then notice the police, they aren't
He's
arrested.
standing in front of the Temple Mount. It is definitely a change from what the secular Zionists kind of gave us, but not a change that's a revolution, but an evolution.
There's Ben-Gvir. This guy.
Amen.
We don't have to do all the detail. Do you want to finish watching or should I jump ahead? Rhonda wants to see it. Okay. She said go ahead. Okay. Then we have the red heifers, which we know they have done a mock-up in Shiloh. Okay. Then just on the 9th of Av, instead of a rabbi leading and Ben-Gvir standing behind.
When was the 9th of Av?
Saturday or Sunday last. Okay? Okay, we're talking, this is right current history, okay?
And something else big that happened yesterday. For the first time in 2,000 years, a leader of the nation of Israel, someone from Israel's government, led prayers on the Temple Mount. Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir led prayers in the place where God's physical presence actually rested.
This time he led the prayer.
Redemption is happening in Israel. Prophecy is taking place right before our eyes.
Now, I don't know, you just go back to April, when I was at the Book of Mormon conference, and I was given a similar presentation. During the presentation, I'm talking about it, and Craig gets a text that said this was all taking place right as I'm talking about it.
Wow.
In April, okay? So you got this all stuff going on, live action in the last year, from Christmas till now. This has all taken place since the 2,300 days started counting.
And I just want to say, we didn't make up these numbers.
Daniel did.
Gabriel gave them to Daniel, and we're just watching them, how they are playing out. And in the rearview mirror, as we watch it,
We're just
the
going,
scriptures
wow.
are just going, choo, 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 and it's like making perfect sense.
Wow.
Okay, next video.
These propagations are super dangerous. These people are super dangerous. This is the cancer of the city. This is the cancer of the whole world.
Cancer, those guys
I'm
behind
gonna
him.
go back. He
Yeah.
says, this is super dangerous. This is the cancer.
You can't understand.
Do you know what
it's
just happened?
cancer.
It was a little loud.
Well-
A group of Jews just walked onto the platform behind us. And that's what he's referring to as the cancer.
The Jews.
The
The Jews
yes.
are the cancer.
That's nice of him right there.
These propagations are super dangerous. These people are super dangerous. This is the cancer of the city. This is the cancer of the whole earth. The main reason for October the 7th is these people. Why? Don't believe me. Maybe you're gonna say that he's a Palestinian. We used to have more than 16 schools inside the school compound. 16! Now we have just 4. With the rest occupied by the Israel forces. So what we are facing here is super dangerous, and I'm gonna tell you something before the 7th of October, before October the 7th. I warn everybody that we are on the edge of a boom. 2 weeks ago I was in the United States for more than 2 months. In the State Department. Silly people, shits are ruling your country.
This is a Biden's day. We were actually there when Biden was still in power.
Shit media. We don't know anything about what is happening here. So now most of the people are blaming the Palestinians that they started October 7th. No. And they want us to condemn the 7th of October. No. We've been facing these people for over 75 years. What happens in October is just a reaction for a big action. And now, believe me, we are on the edge of the religious war. These people, the problem is not the Muslims, no. Their problem is not Jew. And when you leave this compound, just Google it, what happens in Jerusalem just before the war started. And you will see how many Christian cemeteries they dig. Just because they are Christians. How many Christian tours they attack. How many Christian ladies they sexually abused inside the altar of Jerusalem. Again, don't do it. Just when you go out, just take
Just a second, don't get there.
and you will see videos. You will see videos. This is the problem. The media is the main problem. I'm telling you, don't believe anything you hear in your media, especially in the United States.
Okay, he said especially in the United States. I would agree with him pretty much if you're going mainstream media. But what I wanted to point that out for is, you see how much he believes his perspective?
Oh, yeah.
Very much believes his perspective. We're on the bus with Adele, who is the Muslim bus driver. Good friend, and yet I'm listening to him and his news compared to my news.
And it's Arabic, but it's got
And compared to the mainstream news, all of them different, complete different story. The story they're hearing is put out by the Palestinian Authority. Okay, he's getting his news that way. Most of America gets their news through the mainstream media, and I get my news through direct Israeli channels. It's all different news. Okay, just so you know, it's all different news. And what he said about Christians being attacked and all that stuff, I don't know if you've been catching lately, the way that the Palestinians have spun that Christians are being persecuted. If you go to the real sources, you find a whole different story. Don't suck into the narrative. Okay? The narrative is not accurate that you're getting on most of those kind of stories. They're not attacking Christians over there. It's not happening. Unless those Christians are misbehaving. You know, if you're breaking the law, you're going to get punished by the law. Anyway, just so you know. The fires supposedly they set up in Samaria and all that stuff, not an accurate tale. You have to, and I don't have time to go into every situation. All right, this is the scripture you were talking
Actually,
about.
you need to add
Number 8.
the next verse, because that's what makes the chiasm between them.
Yeah, well, I probably didn't do everything. This is what Rhonda read earlier. Even them will I bring to the holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called the house of prayer of all people. This is their goal, actually, and they don't want to exclude people. You've got, unfortunately, we have got the conservative audience now being fractured like crazy, with people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who absolutely seemed in our camp in one sense. What I'm saying is Satan's way at work
Yep.
to bust us to pieces.
I just watched it, and she was totally against Israel, and I was shocked.
That's what I say. And actually, Tucker Carlson's kind of flipped
Yep.
against Israel too. Stuff like that. But the point of it is, that's not unusual for Christians. That used to be the way all Christians were. Do you realize Martin Luther was very anti-Semitic? It's not uncommon that we believe that we replaced Israel. I'm speaking of the Christians as a whole. And so that's a very common perspective to believe that we replaced Israel. And what are you doing?
Keep talking, go.
She's going to add 8.
No, I'm not gonna add 8 because it's all in 7. I'm just making it, you did the fancy stuff. Okay. It's okay, I'll fix it. I got it. I'm just.
What is a good wife for?
I really think you guys know each other.
Okay, so I can't do it because you have your back shadows on it. But if you put a return right there with the burnt offering after the colon, and then
Just
put
tell
a return after the return after the for mine, then you've got the chiasm. You've got the house of prayer, and the offerings being accepted in the center. I think it's so cool.
Sorry, I didn't let you proof my presentation before. Anyway, so I'm sharing with you that the story isn't as it seems. And I don't know why Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson have gone on the warpath against Israel, except for I think they're good people in general. I think the problem is sometimes we all have bias. And we got to be careful of the bias we let happen to us. But also don't mistake for a second that they don't believe in Christ yet. They actually don't believe in Christ until when he comes to the Mount of Olives as a people. Now, obviously you have one for Israel, and you have a movement of people who are converting to Christ. Now I want to jump forward to what Temple Mount really looks like.
Can I just say about that though, about any culture or country or peoples all have black hats and white hat people. And it's just the showdowns between God and Satan and the worship of those two beings that are shrouded in a lot of corruption and tentacles throughout the world with Mossad, CIA, and not just them. It goes a lot higher than that with old money and Luciferian practices. And so it's held by an oath and covenant that's a mirror of what the true gospel is and the covenants that
Absolutely.
God wants with his people.
We just put up a video that Rhonda did for Come Follow Me, our last video that we put up, that goes into the fact, and you guys probably are all aware of it, that 1776 was the start of this great republic that we have enjoyed the fruit of. But 1776 was also when the Illuminati was established. And Rhonda put up in the presentation that Satan always makes his play.
Well, sure.
It's Nephi.
Karl Marx
Opposition
started
to all
at
things.
Joseph Smith time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to have the
Opposition.
evil. Yes.
And he makes his play every time. So when you look at Temple Mount, and we see that big mountain, we're up there standing on the rocks, you don't realize that except for where it peaks at the points, it all looks like that underneath you. That's what Temple Mount really looks like, especially down on the southeast corner. Southwest corner too, western wall. We've stood next to it. It's actually more hollow than full. It was cheaper in the days of Herod to build the arches, build a platform, build the arches, build a platform, than it was to backfill it. So Temple Mount's not backfilled. It's hollow underneath. Okay, that's what it looks like. And you might say, how do you know that? Guess what? We were there. We went down there.
And I'm still very, very jealous.
So
any questions here?
we're now in the Alaska Mosque.
Look, you're special, and I have around 15 minutes. So I would like to ask you. We have time? We have time?
Yep.
Yes.
So we just finished restoring a Marwani mosque, and it took us 34 years. Just finished, maybe a month ago.
Just finished cleaning out Solomon's stables.
I'm gonna take you to the
Solomon's what?
Stables, they call them.
I dare that nobody sees that underneath building before. Maybe you saw underneath.
Nobody, we haven't taken anybody down there before.
He says, we're the first group he's gonna take down there. I don't know if he tells that to everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But he definitely said it.
Special, that's-
Whether it's true or not, we don't know.
Nobody's here that. So, because we closed it in 1994, and we just opened it, not for the public, not for the public.
So there you,
For some.
he just said they closed it in
elections and some educational
1994.
services.
They did a bunch of
So-
cleanup and now they're
Yep.
opening it. Now, we're walking out of
So the
Alaska.
reason we got this tour.
Pause for a minute, Rhonda. Up to your left is bullet holes in the windows of all the different conflicts that have happened in Alaska. Now we're walking towards the entrance under the Temple Mount. Now we just headed under Temple Mount.
But in the last 10 days.
I wish I could pause and let you
Yeah,
talk.
I'll wait.
So we're now under Temple Mount.
Wow.
Look, this compound can hold maximum 200,000, and we are prepared for 150,000. But in Ramadan, you are talking about.
This guy in the yellow,